Welcome back to the Unleash Your Radiance podcast. I'm here for a very exciting episode today with a very special guest, Juliet Tripp. Juliet, thank you so much for being here. I'd love for you to introduce yourself to the audience. I know they're going to love this episode.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very, very excited for this conversation. My name is Juliet. I am a business mentor. I'm a mama. I used to be in the events industry for a long time before pivoting into coaching and speaking. And yeah, my world is basically about supporting ambitious business owners to achieve more and have more without doing more. So let the intersection between kind of ambition but also the presence in life, doing the stuff that lights you up. That's where I really focus a lot of my business and with a lot of my community building. And yeah, I think that's probably sums it up.
Amazing. I know like so many people in the audience are really going to resonate with that because I do talk a lot about that, finding that balance between joyful living and also like being that ambitious, like high achieving, business owner and creating your vision as well. So I know a lot of people are always like, how do we find that balance in the masculine and feminine? And for those of you listening, Juliet and I have been connected for a little while now. I working in the events industry as well. I know we kind of connected, I think, that way also, because my background in the corporate world is events planning, also retreat planning here and there as well. So love the events world. It is a busy, fast-paced, but exciting industry.
Yeah, it really is. And I think, yeah, it's been great to connect with you and see your journey as well. And I think we do have so many synergies in what we've done. So I think this is going to be a really exciting conversation just to dive into those in more detail.
Yeah, super excited. Well, the first question I always ask everyone who comes on as a guest onto the podcast is, what does radiant living mean to you?
Oh, I love this. I think radiant living to me means you are living in a way that lights you up. Like when we look at radiance, it's light, right? It's the lightness over the darkness and actually finding those pockets of joy. I love the term Hollywooding your life. Like sometimes I'll just walk around as if I'm in a Hollywood movie, even if I'm running on like zero sleep, which I do a lot at the moment. I'm a new mum. And even if things are going crazy, it's just finding the little moments of light that light you up, whether that's a gorgeous coffee on a morning walk or if it's a stranger smiling at you in the street. Those things, I think that's radiant living to me.
I absolutely love that you said like living in a Hollywood movie. It's like that's like the extreme of like romanticizing your life. Like just like walking around and be like, I'm on set. I'm the like creator of my life. This is it. Yeah. Amazing. It's so
Whole
true.
vibe.
Yeah, love it. Love it. High vibe. That is such a good explanation of like radiant living. And what does abundance mean to you?
The better it gets, the better it gets. I think abundance is a place where you can operate in overflow and you know that the good gets to get so much better. And it's a place where you don't settle because you're always like not striving for more in terms of, a hunger through scarcity, but just knowing that like life gets to get good. And when we're rooted in gratitude, it gets to get even better. And we can just keep going and keep building, whether that's, more opportunities, more clients, more friendships, more relationships, more money. And yeah, it's being in flow.
Oh my gosh, I love that as well. And like, I think there's such a misconception of like what abundance really is. So many people I think just think abundance is like financial abundance when like abundance is, I talk about this a lot. It's like abundance is from within, right? It's a feeling that's created within. And again, it's that gratitude and being in gratitude with all that you have and the relationships in your life, the nature outside. And, by being grateful for that, what you already have, it creates space for more to come. So I totally love that, that saying, the better it gets, the better it gets. I remember I heard that I think last year sometimes, and I was like, that is such an incredible like affirmation to use into your daily practice because I think what happens, and I know I used to really struggle with this, was that kind of that fear that like as things are manifesting in your life or as you're reaching that next level and the success is happening and the dream relationship, whatever it might be, it was kind of like that fear of like, oh my God, when's the rug going to get pulled out from underneath me? Like, when is this? It's almost like it's a joke. It's like, okay, this is really great, but like, when's it going to just implode? So I think like I know I've struggled with that. A lot of people I've talked to have struggled with that as well. Did you ever find that that was something that you experienced yourself as well?
100%. And I think when you're moving on and when you go through like periods of growth, there
Yeah.
is always going to be friction. And the thing I think it's important to mention as well, that abundance doesn't mean that everything is going to go your way 1,000,000% of the time. Like you can still have bad days and live an abundant life.
A
And
hundred
if we didn't
percent.
have bad days, we're not addressing the dualities of life, in that, pure abundance is the fact that how are you acting when you have $0 in your bank account?
Yeah.
Are you acting in the same way as when you've got $10,000 in your bank account? Because we get to be abundant. Being abundant doesn't mean that you have everything. It just means that you are living life in gratitude and in expectation for more. But yeah, 100%. I mean, I've, got to a point and thought, hang on a minute, like it's going to be up, like my luck's going to run out. But then that's scarcity, that's not abundance. And I think, I've learned and I've gone through periods of growth, be it in my business, my personal life, where things are amazing, and then the next month or the next week something bad maybe happens, but it's how you react to those bad
Yeah.
things and make them not mean anything about you, that we can continue the abundance and flow. And like if you can still show up in that energy regardless of what's going on for you, regardless of if everything's going super well or if you've had a curveball, that's when true abundance is really going to flow. It's not a fake thing. It's not just like, manifest your dream life. Yeah, manifest your dream life, but also realize that it's life is real life.
Yeah, challenges are always there, right? It's like you said, it's part of that duality as well. And if you're open to sharing, is there kind of a time that you've experienced where you were like, you said you had 1 month where everything was amazing, and then 1 month where everything kind of like went up, that you were sort of like forced to like realize that and like surrender and still be grateful and just kind of trust that everything was going to work out?
Yeah, there's so many moments, honestly. Like anything that's been difficult, a challenge in life, surrender was the hardest lesson that I've ever had to learn at numerous
Mhm.
points, because you'll know this, working in events, I have been rooted my whole career into control, and like we want everything to run very well. And I found that that infiltrated into areas of my life. Not that I was necessarily a control freak, but I thought, hang on a minute, like I am like a puppet master when I'm running events. Like I know that everything is going to work. And if it doesn't work, I know how to fix it. It's all kind of based on that control and perfectionism to a degree. But then, that really related into like early stages in my career. I wasn't very good at taking bad feedback. I didn't really know what to do with that. And I think there
Mm.
have been times, certainly in career, where maybe I've been um refused a promotion or something like that, or it hasn't been the right time. And then I've had to just go back to like, okay, it wasn't meant to be, and what's meant for me won't pass me by. And there've been some really, really difficult times where I've just had to surrender and flow. And yeah, well, I'm sure we'll talk about it, like leaving corporate, leaving
Yeah,
full-time career, finding out I was pregnant unexpectedly. All of these times have been opportunities to go, whoa, 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 okay, this is out of my control. All I can control right now is who I'm being in this moment. And when I've just gone, okay, let's surrender, let's trust, let's flow, things have just got easier, and the stress is lifted because I know that I'm only able to do so much.
exactly. I so feel you were talking about like that control in the events kind of thing, or like just kind of going with that rush of things happening and like just that intensity. And yeah, it's like, if something goes wrong, it's like, okay, well, we can find out a plan how to fix it. But when it's like life things or the universe and things outside of your control, it's like you are kind of forced to surrender, let that happen. And I really resonate because I'm one of those people, I like to know what's going on at all points in time. And I'm like, okay, this is gonna happen, then this. And it's like that unknowing or the impatience. I'm very
Mm.
impatient at times. So I've had to really work on that before.
Yeah. And like, manifestation, you can't micromanage your manifestations. And before I really understood what manifestation truly was, I tried to micromanage my goals so much. This is why I hate that like old school smart goal setting where it's very strict and it puts things in a box. since I kind of flipped the script and now everything's much more expansive and not so strict on time frames, that's where I found more abundance. But I think, I've tried to micromanage areas of my life and my goal setting in the past, and it's not gone my way. And then scarcity comes in and fear comes in and things start to go wrong. So when you can actually be in flow, even when things are going well, that's when the magic comes.
Absolutely. I had a conversation with a client the other day about that. They were like getting confused. They're like, okay, so I understand I need to like let go and trust and like not be so set on timelines, but also I want to have goals with timelines. And they're like, how does this work? And I was like, I totally get where you're coming from. I'm like, it's great to have those set timelines, but it's like if you put so much emphasis on like when I reach this goal, when I reach this level or this income or whatever it is, then it's like you're adding so much meaning to your worth behind that as well. Or like if it doesn't work out, then you failed and that it's not working out. But I'm like, it's great to have those goals and those like goalposts of like when you want something to happen, but trusting if it doesn't work, that like you've taken that aligned action and you've done your part. And if it's not, then it means there maybe was a lesson to learn or a pivot or something better is coming along, right? So it's like really leading into that, finding that perfect balance, which is hard. It's really hard. I think surrendering and trust is one of the hardest parts of the manifestation process because we live in a world where we're like Amazon Prime, I want instant results, right? But yeah, it's like that dance with kind of, okay, I've done my part. I'm like trusting in the universe to deliver and show up as well. So yeah.
1,000,000%.
Yeah, amazing. Well, as we said, leaving a 9 to 5, I know you were doing events full time, and then you also had an incredibly successful, I can't talk today, successful business as well while doing both. And then you took the leap, what was it, last year, to go full time in your coaching business as well. So yeah, I would love, and I know, like I said, many listeners listening to that are all about, kind of creating their freedom lifestyle. So I'd love to hear about what that journey was like for you and how you made that decision, and also running a successful coaching business while working full-time in events, because events is a very demanding and highly energetic industry as well.
Oh my God, where do I start? This is like buckle up, buckle up. I started my coaching business probably about 4 years ago alongside a senior events management role. And this was because I'd always done coaching. I was trained in sort of executive coaching through my jobs. I'd always led teams, coached teams in work. And I found that, a lot of people were reaching out to me for advice. And I started sort of spending a lot of my free time coaching people and not actually realizing, and spending a
Okay.
lot of my time doing that. And then one day I was like, hang on a minute, there's got to be something in this. And just started to kind of say, look, I'm doing this, I'm offering this. I got really, really into goal setting. I taught myself how to goal set and achieved some massive goals, which I didn't even realize were goals at the time. So I started to run goal setting workshops in my hometown, like really small scale, but they sold out. Like things went really well, and the momentum started building. So I just realized to myself, like, this can be another stream of income. This can help me to grow in different areas. This can help me to develop my skills that can further my career. Now, that was always the goal. Like, until just over a year ago, hand on heart, never thought I would leave a corporate role or certainly working for other people. My goal in my career was always just to get in the C-suite in the events industry and then maybe move into another industry, but in a high level role where I've got a lot of impact, a lot of influence. I'm leading, I'm a decision maker, and that was my goal. And my side hustle grew to the point that I didn't feel like I could call it a side hustle anymore. It began to, I referred to it as a business, but I never actually thought I'll take the leap. And so many people said to me, like, why aren't you doing your own thing full time? Like, we really see you as being an entrepreneur. And I just didn't see it. Everyone saw it. I didn't, because I was just quite happy doing multiple things, right? Like, we do that. And, the pandemic was certainly an opportunity. And events obviously was the first industry to stop and the last one to come back during COVID. It was hugely impacted. However, I was incredibly lucky to keep my job because my company pivoted to everything. We did virtual events, and I kind of really helped them to grow that part of the business, and it ended up being $1 million plus revenue stream for us during COVID, which was
Wow.
wild, a wild journey. And I was working more hours than I ever have done before in events, but I had to say to myself, like, what if it all stops in events? I need something to fall back on. So I decided I'm going to go all in with this side hustle. In that year, everything happened so quickly. I scaled it to six figures alongside a 5 day a week job in a senior role, managing a team of quite a few events team members as well. And it just kind of skyrocketed from there. And and then I just carried on doing that thing and juggling, and decided to take the leap to 4 days a week rather than five, but I did condensed hours, so I was doing the same amount of hours. And then I took what I thought was my dream job about 2 years ago. It was a job which was made for me and like literally written for me, and I thought it was going to be everything to me,
Right.
and started it, and it was great, and I learned so much, but it began to affect my mental health in ways that I didn't see. And it got to the point where, I was commuting long hours, I was away from home all of the time. I was making decisions from a place of fear and hunger and drive for more at the same time, that I was choosing to be away from home a lot of time. I didn't see my friends, I didn't see my family. It was just kind of affecting things. There were a lot of things that weren't particularly healthy in the culture that I was in, and I know
Okay.
you'll understand this. In terms of hustle culture,
Yeah.
and you're celebrated if you're the last person in the office.
Yeah.
You're not celebrated if you leave the office before 6
I know
p.m.
this well.
Um,
Yeah.
things like that, there were just things that were coming up, and things were just out of alignment. And it was just over a year ago, I got this twitch in my eye, and it sounds stupid, but I could put on my Instagram stories, like, does anyone know like how to get rid of this twitch in my eye? I thought it was a caffeine thing, maybe I had some makeup stuck in my eye, or a
Yes.
lack of sleep, and I was asking for advice, and a couple of people said to me, have you thought that it might be stress? And I was like, oh no, it's like, I'll fix it. I'll just stop having so much caffeine. And this twitch then in my eye, it started to go away at 5 p.m. on a Friday. And it would come back at 5 a.m. on a Monday morning, because that's when my boss would start texting me.
Wow.
And
5 a.m. you were getting texts.
yes.
Oh gosh.
And
Okay.
I then realized, hang on a minute, like, the pennies dropped. And I remember having a conversation with my mum actually, and realizing, like, what the hell am I doing? We only get so many years with our family, with our parents. I don't see my parents enough. And I vowed that 2023 was going to be the year that I set family as a mantra, right? And family was like the whole goal. And I
Okay.
said, 2023 is a year of family. So what do I need to do to make it about me seeing my family more? And I just in an instant was like, I need to resign. And it had never been in my trajectory of my career path. But a weekend went, and I wrote my resignation letter. I handed my notice in first thing on a Monday morning, and then the stress just dropped from my body. And I had full transparency. I didn't have like savings to back me up. I didn't have a plan B. I had my business. Yes, I'm very lucky with that, but I didn't really have any idea about how it was going to work out, if it was going to work out. But I knew that in that moment, I realized, hang on, I've had anxiety for a few months, didn't realize, didn't tell anyone, didn't even know what it was, all of these
Mm.
things. But I made that leap and I made that decision because it was no longer in alignment with me. Things weren't clicking anymore. And it just wasn't, the thing. And like, fast forward, it was literally 2 days ago was the year anniversary of me handing
Oh,
my
happy
notice in.
anniversary.
Thank you. And when I look back at the timings, obviously now I have a baby boy who is 4 months old almost, and I must have became pregnant about a week or 2 weeks after handing my notice in, because this stress had left my body, and it's wild. And I'd set that goal, not knowing what I really wanted family to be about. I thought,
Family
oh,
was
I'll just
coming
see
in
my
hot.
parents more.
Yeah.
And then the
Oh my gosh.
universe was like, I've got a plan for you. You're
I've
meant for
got
so
this.
much more than this.
Yeah.
And like, so that was what taking the leap was like. I was never the side hustler that was like, build your side hustle and then quit your 9 to 5. I didn't resonate with it. I didn't resonate with any of that content, any of
Okay.
those courses, or any of those people that teach that thing. I was like, no, because I want both. I want it all. And
Yeah.
now I realize, hang on a minute, I get to create my own C-suite level role for my own business and grow that way rather than working for someone else's dream and getting burnt out in the process. And I don't regret a minute of anything that I've ever done in my career. I've had some incredible roles. I've traveled the world. I've managed some incredible teams. I've done a lot of amazing projects, and I've learned so much from the good leadership, the bad leadership, everything in between.
Yeah.
But now, like, I'm just so in alignment, and I could never go back.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for sharing that. I've like goosebumps from your story because it's like such an example. Like the eye twitch as well. I sometimes think that's like it's like the universe telling you like, it's a sign. It's like your body is reacting. It's like things, it's speaking to you and it's up to us to listen to it. And it's like that push that you need. And I'm so glad that you realized you did have that anxiety and you took action on that because I know full well the events role I was doing in London I only had it for 3 months before COVID hit and I was let go. And it was like such a toxic environment. Like I used to work incredibly long days. I would have panic attacks practically at work. My boss used to tell us you're only as good as your last event. It doesn't matter if you've like nailed every event for 5 years, you mess up one. So like the partners will remember that. And like you're so horrible in their eyes, basically. It was so toxic. And those signs were there. And it was like I was in a constant state of like just fight or flight, like just surviving. And it was like always like so stressed and so much anxiety. And so I completely resonate with that as well. So that's incredible that you did take the leap. And that's the perfect example of like trusting when that sign's there and when like that gut instinct is there. And even though you don't have it all figured out, right? That's like your intuition, like really guiding you to take that leap and like having full faith and trust and surrender that it's all going to work out. And look at you now.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you. And I remember, like, I had songs that I listened to, that fight song. I listened to that like all the time. And
No
like songs
way.
like that, like mantra, like anthems. I was just like, I'll just tune into this and just like listen and just get all these mantras and this idea. But just to your point there, like the events industry can be toxic and it can be incredible. And if
Yeah.
anyone's listening, work in events, like, I'm not for a second saying that events is a 9 to 5 job. It is not. You do have to work long hours, but not at the expense of your health. And it shouldn't be every single week. An events role is like, you might be running an event and you're doing a 20-hour day, but that isn't normal. That's not every day. And there are so many amazing events businesses and sectors of the industry that are incredibly healthy, and the events world is moving towards a better and more sustainable future for their employees, but it's taking its time. And unfortunately, there is this narrative that if you're not willing to put everything at risk, you're not good enough. And I'm so anti that. You can absolutely do super well in events, and be a hustler and a hard worker without it being at the expense of your health.
Yeah, 100%. I've had some incredible events roles as well. Like they're not all that bad in the sense, but like it is a like fast industry that you are expected to kind of like work a long hours, but it's also a very exciting and super fun one. Like I just remember I love the excitement of the event and like event day and having it all unfold and like it's just there's so much like diversity and like the projects you're working on. So it's a lot of excitement, but it is just being mindful of your health and wellness in those roles as well and asking a lot of questions. That would be my thing. Ask a lot of questions in those roles ahead of time and have a clear picture of what you're looking for.
Definitely.
Amazing. Well, I want to touch on as well. Of course, you mentioned you just had a brand new mom, you had a baby right when you took the leap as well. Let's dive into that a little bit. Like, let's navigate. Yeah, what's mamahood, being a brand new entrepreneur, finding out you're pregnant. Let's go into that story. I know you shared that, but like you were flying somewhere, weren't you, when you found out? And it was just a few days after you went all in, wasn't it?
It's literally ridiculous. Like, I think people must think I make this story up, and I promise you I didn't. But yeah, like full transparency, I've been with my husband 10 years now. I've been married 8 years, and we had always thought about having kids. I knew it was going to be in my trajectory. I knew that I did want to be a mum, but it wasn't necessarily in our plan for this year. We thought, let's just like see what happens, maybe wait a couple of years. And the universe was like, no. So essentially it wasn't an unplanned pregnancy, but it wasn't necessarily like on the calendar. So I was flying, started the year I was 10 days into being full time in my business,
Yeah.
and I was flying to Austin, Texas on a business retreat. And I was like, right, I'm going to work on my business. Like, I'm going to go all in with my goals. I had very specific things that I wanted to do this year, which was a lot of travel, a lot of speaking, those kind of things. And I'd just been feeling a bit weird in myself, like not quite myself. And I was sitting in the lounge in London Heathrow, and I was like 2 glasses of champagne down, as you do on
As
a
you're
flight day.
flying, yeah, you're on your way to a business retreat.
Gotta be done. But this like wave of intuition came across me like never before. And I just had this really strong message that was like, you need to do a pregnancy test before you fly, because this flight's 10 hours. Um, and this was like an hour before I boarded my flight. So I was like, right, okay. So I went to Boots and bought pregnancy tests and went to the bathroom, did them, and I was freaking out. And I was like, oh, it's fine. I'll just do a test just to make sure I'm not pregnant. And then the test was positive, and I couldn't even remember like what you're supposed to look for. So I was like reading the box, like freaking out, like, hang on, is it 2 lines? Is it what, like, what's the thing? Um, and then did another one, and lo and behold, I was pregnant. Couldn't get hold of my husband because he was at work. It was all like, I've got to get on this flight, but I've got to make this call, blah blah blah. Anyway, managed to get hold of him. And in that moment I was like, right, do I go home, like just forget the flight, forget the trip, go home and like just figure this all out and just take a breath? Or do I use this as my opportunity and my sign that the universe wants me to go all in? And I chose the latter. I got on the flight, burst into tears, manifested an upgrade to business class, and then just sat there and was like,
Oh
how do
my
we do
God.
this? And I had 10 hours of obviously no internet, thinking time to myself, like no one to talk to. I couldn't even have a drink to like take
Oh
the
my
edge off,
gosh.
you know.
Oh,
And it was wild. And then I just decided, right, this gets to be the time that I pivot, I go all in. And I use that time on my business retreat to really say, how can I change my business? You know, the coach that I was working with was pregnant at the time. She was about to have a baby. So it is very much divine timing and getting that support at the right time. And then, yeah, and everything changed in my business, but it didn't change monumentally. You know, I'm still the same person.
yeah.
My business is still the same. And now I have a baby boy who is also called Austin, which is kind of because because of that day I was traveling to Austin.
I
And
love
yeah,
this story so much. Oh
and
my
now
God.
here we are.
Wow. I love the story. It's so incredible to hearing that. Like, and I love that you like upgraded your business class like on that flight as well. And like to have that 10 hours to kind of think about like this huge pivot in your life. You're like, okay, not expecting this. You just went all in on your business. Now you have a baby on the way. And like, I can imagine there was just so much to think about. But I love that you just, again, took that leap and trusted your intuition and trusted what the universe was like delivering for you. That's absolutely amazing. And now that he's here, it's been 4 months and you're managing your business, because I know you took a bit of time off, didn't you? Like kind of in between. Yeah. And like, so what's that been like coming back to entrepreneurship and running your business from a place as being a mom?
It's been great, actually. In all
Yeah.
honesty, it's been great. And I was really nervous and apprehensive because I didn't know how I was going to feel. And, you know, I've always loved my work. I've always loved my business and my clients,
Yeah.
but I knew that my heart was going to expand even more, but also I wouldn't have the time and the capacity that I used to have. So I kind of kept things quite open and made a loose plan. And I knew that actually financially, I couldn't afford to take 9 or 12 months maternity leave. Like I literally couldn't afford it. I have bills to pay. And also I didn't really want to,
Yeah.
because I love my business, because I don't, you know, I want to do all the things, but I kept stuff open. And I also massively contradicted myself a number of times, which I think is just like part of life and part of being authentic as a business owner. But I remember saying like motherhood won't infiltrate into my content, like this isn't about to be like a motherhood business. And now like we can talk about it after, but I've kind of launched now
Yeah.
like a motherhood strand to my business. But anyway, I planned and I said, right, I'm going to take 2 months
Yeah.
off without any delivery, but I'm going to really leave it open about how I feel about social media and showing up online. I thought that I'd probably want to just turn off my phone. I actually didn't. I actually found a lot of comfort in having social media, kind of sharing my story and, you know, looking at reels and things about other mums and learning from that. But anyway, I decided to take 2 months off. I made plans for the business to keep the business going whilst I was off. So I hired support coaches to cover my maternity leave in my masterminds. I was booking in clients for ahead of time when I knew I was coming back. And then I had a business retreat, a 1 day business retreat in the summer, and had, I think, 4 or 5 women coming to that. And then I went out for dinner the night before, and in a restaurant, my waters broke. And at this point, I was 32 and a half weeks pregnant. So, like, very, very early. I didn't know what was going
Yeah.
on. Again, trust, surrender. I thought, have I wet myself or something? I didn't really know, because it was just like I knew I had this event to run, then I had this, all this stuff to wrap up. And then the universe was like, no, like, things are changing. Found out, got that confirmed. Anyway, was told you can continue with your pregnancy, but we're not going to let you go much further. And then at that point, I was like, right, we have to just get everything locked in. So I spent, the next 10 days in and out of hospital, a lot of resting, a lot of looking after my body, but also putting plans in place and knowing that things could happen at literally any time. And I remember one day I had a 2 hour call with my assistant. We managed to box everything off. And then I had an evening of coaching calls, and I was in a bit of a pain, but I'd been in pain for 10 days. And then I did my 2 mastermind calls. This was at 9 p.m. I wrapped up and then was just getting this pain and was like, I'm getting contractions. Managed to, like, I said to my husband, like, I'm just gonna wash my hair, like, just double check, like, just kill some time. And then I was like, no, this is something. So 9:30 I called the hospital. We went to hospital, and by midnight he was born. So, like, I was still coaching 3 hours before my baby. So again,
Wow.
it's like trust, surrender, trust, surrender. And at that moment, it was like, okay, everything has to happen now. I had to stop things. So I actually had to be a little bit more open and honest. Like, some of my clients knew the day after my baby had been born. That wasn't necessarily my plan, but I wanted to be open and honest and
Yeah.
say, look, all calls are postponed. Like, this is what's happening. And I have incredible clients and support and friends and peers in the industry, and everyone was so supportive. And then, yeah, I took 2 months, no work, but I did do some social media, some stuff behind the scenes. And then since coming back, it's been amazing. I've got more creativity than I've ever had before. I feel like I can serve my clients in such a deeper way. I feel like I can understand a lot more nuances about life, because
Yeah.
now I'm just managing so much myself. And it's been like the best thing to ever happen to my business. I never thought I'd say that. And that's not the narrative that gets put out there in the world. The narrative is you can't be successful in business and be great at being a parent. And I am now on a big mission and a big way to change that.
I love that so much. And I think, I've heard that saying before, like babies bring abundance. And, this is the perfect example of that. And I think your story is definitely an example of, like, you can have it all and you can do it all. Like, you're definitely a woman who is doing it all. And it's showing that passion for your business, but also passion for this, like, family life that you have now. And I love that you are like, I think it's amazing that you are showcasing that there is, like, the nuance behind the life. And it's like, you can have both, because it's true. I think there is so much talk around, can you still be a successful entrepreneur while having a family and doing both? And it's amazing that you are showing that, because I think a lot of women need to see that, right? Because I think there's a fear behind, like, do I have kids or do I go all in on my career and have the success, or how do
Mm,
you balance the both of it? So it's so incredible that you are showcasing that as well.
Thank you. And I think, there's a lot of points here. And, I just want to make it completely clear that, I don't take for granted the privilege that I have. However, I don't have anyone looking after my baby apart from my husband and I. My family are quite far away. All my husband's family are
Yeah.
overseas in the States. My baby isn't in nursery yet. I am breastfeeding. So I don't, there's a lot going on here. And it can be very, very difficult, and it is difficult to be an entrepreneur and have a
Yeah.
baby. But when you know how, when you have strong boundaries, you just adapt. And it's all about now building your business around your baby, not building your life around your business. and
Yeah.
and actually, when you know how, like, it gets to be easy, but you have to be very strict with yourself. And a mantra, and anyone that's maybe nervous about becoming pregnant, that's listening, or is a mom navigating things, or a father, then I really encourage you to think about this mantra, which I've introduced, which is, I'm either working, or I'm with my baby, or I'm resting. And it means that what you need in this season is intentionality. So when I'm working, like, I'm present, I'm all in, I'm doing the thing. when I'm with my baby, I'm not trying to answer emails or do other things. You know, maybe if he's napping, yeah, 100%. But when I'm resting, I'm doing
Yeah.
stuff for me, whether that's actually sleeping, watching Netflix, working out, having a glass of wine, whatever that is. Like, it's all about intentionality. And that's why. And I'm not naive to the fact that things will change, things will develop, things will grow. I'm not a motherhood expert at all, but what I am is an expert in, you know, knowing how to navigate multiple things at once, because I've always done it. So I'm just adapting it for a new season.
Yeah, no, and that's incredible. And I've heard people say that before is like when they have had a baby, it's like, when you have that time, it's like, okay, I've got 3 hours right now. You're so intentional and like you are working. Whereas like you're not like, maybe like procrastinating or opening up your phone and you're trying to write your newsletter, whatever it might be, but like you're very intentional and you can actually, it shows how much you can get done in that limited amount of time as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like, now I realize I didn't think I was a procrastinator. I was. I procrastinated so much. I can get so much done now. It's wild.
Wow, that's so incredible to hear. And what was like, what did you find was kind of like the biggest maybe challenge, like pivoting your business to kind of match that lifestyle now that you have when it wasn't expected necessarily in the beginning?
Yeah, I think it was probably the fear of being cancelled. Like,
Mm,
being a mum cracks you open, and
yeah,
whether you choose to share it online or not, you know, I've certainly had some like trolls or some like
yeah,
negative comments and stuff on social media. But, you know, if you do decide to show a vulnerable part of yourself on the internet, you do kind of open yourself up for that. And I guess my fear was of being not relevant anymore. But actually, it's really interesting in that, you know, I thought that maybe people would think I only work with mothers, or, you know, and I do, but I don't only. You know, I have men that I coach, I have people from all different parts of the world and industries, and I found that actually people are more drawn to my work now, regardless of anything to do with parenthood, because they've seen a different side of me. They've
yeah,
maybe seen a more vulnerable side of me, and actually it's given me a permission slip to share stuff about many facets of my life that I've never really spoken about before, because I'm just so like all cards on the table. Like, you know, your tolerance for drama, bullshit, negativity goes to zero when you become a parent, because suddenly the big thing is like you just have this tiny human that you're looking after, and, you know,
yeah,
he's my world, and I need to look after him. I also think it's given me a lot more drive and ambition, because I'm not just doing it for me, or, you know, me and my husband or friends. I'm doing it to show my baby what's possible and that he can be ambitious and go after his goals when the time comes. So yeah, I think it's really changed the game in a way that I didn't think it would. And I think it's actually given me that permission slip to really recalibrate through the season. I would have found it very, very difficult to just post businessy stuff, because I would have been keeping so much from my community. And like,
yeah.
we'll see how this kind of journey changes along the way, but right now it feels right, and I feel like I'm not seeking validation, but I have had validation from people in my world who have no intention of being parents, or maybe they're now empty nesters, that their children have grown up, but they're still intrigued about that part of the journey. And it's showing people not just it's possible to be a mother, but like it's possible to follow your goals and follow your heart and trust and surrender. And, you know, there are a lot of takeaways, and I hate to say it, but like transferable skills, right? People will resonate
Yeah.
with different bits of your journey. So by being authentic, like that's the biggest gift that you can give people in your
I
world.
I totally resonate with that because I myself, I don't have children myself. I'm kind of more on the fence. I don't see that in my future, but I've loved seeing your content, and I follow a lot of people and coaches in the industry as well. Coach we both worked with as well as new mom. And yeah, I love watching because I find it so inspiring to see like there's a lot of lessons I feel like I can learn from it as well, of like thinking, oh, I don't have enough time, but like, well, here's this, other women who have babies as well who are doing it, and it's like inspiring. It's like, well, no, if they're doing that, I can do that, and it's like, it's just seeing what's possible. And I think that's incredible as well. One question where you said you had a lot of trolls, I was just interested to hear, like, because I know, that's a big fear a lot of people have, regardless of being a mom, entrepreneur, just being vulnerable and showing other facets of their life and online in general. Like, what would you say to someone who maybe is afraid of having that come back to them or dealing with that?
It's interesting because I some advice that I got was that if you want to grow, like this is going to happen to you. Like
Yeah.
if you want to really grow, if you like, you're just going to be open to more people, and it's almost like the universe saying, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this next level? We're going to test you.
Yeah.
And you know, it's going to happen. And I remember I put something on LinkedIn actually, which I have a love-hate relationship with, mainly hate, but saying basically I'm on maternity leave, you know, but you know, the drive, the ambition doesn't stop. And someone put a comment, and this is like a female leader in the events industry, about, you know, someone that wants to empower other women, saying like, stop with the goals for a minute. And I was like, how dare you like dull my
Wow.
ambition just because, like, just because your motherhood journey was different to mine or whatever.
Yeah.
So I actually just decided to like speak out about that and speak against it. But you know, I think it's one of those things, you're not going to be for everyone. I'm not for everyone. You're not for everyone.
Yeah.
Whoever's listening, you're not for everyone. You are going to have people that don't resonate with your journey. When you can be at peace with that, you will unlock so much more, because there is a recalibration. You know, I've had more unfollows on my Instagram page, for example, than I've ever had in my life before since having a baby. I've also had more follows than I've ever had before,
Yeah.
because it's just recalibration of like, oh, what are you doing? Okay, you're doing this. Da, 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 da. Now we get to grow from here. And you know, I want to grow. I want to continue to grow my personal brand. I want to be able to impact thousands of women. And to do that, I need to understand that, you know, that growth, that visibility opens me up to yeah, potential negativity. And it's down to me to like have a nervous system that can handle it and do that mindset work, and
Hmm.
not let it be about me, but be about them.
No, absolutely. That's such incredible advice. I think like, yeah, that mindset work and working on your self-confidence and your self-worth, and not allow, and like knowing that that's going to happen. And it's like, you know, it's other people's projections of themselves like coming out, you know, towards you as well. But I think it's incredible, like I said, that you are sharing these multifaceted parts of yourself, because like you said, you know, it's like when you're saying stop with the goals, but you can be goal driven and be a mom and be a business owner and be a wife and be a friend. And like, you know, all these things. It's not like just because you just had a baby and you're taking time off, it doesn't mean everything stops. Like you're still you and have this identity of the things you enjoy and are passionate about and love doing. So yeah, that's what an incredible like comment to come from someone who's in this empowerment space as well. Like that's, yeah, such a contradiction.
Like, you get to have it all.
Yeah,
A caveat for that is you just need to figure out what your all is. For
exactly.
some people, being a stay-at-home mom is that all. I get that now. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But that's no worse or better than my goals. It just doesn't resonate with me. But I think that's incredible. If you can create a path in your life where you are just at home all the time with your babies, amazing, celebrating you. If you want to be full in your career, celebrating you. The whole piece here is the idea of having it all. I speak about it a lot. I have had negativity around it too, but your all is going to be different from mine and the next person. So we can have it all. I'm a firm believer in that, with a caveat that we just have to figure out what all means to us.
Yeah, I so agree with that. And I talk a lot about that with my clients as well when it comes to like manifesting your dream life. It's like your dream life is going to be completely different than someone else's. It might be like in a big mansion with a Maserati in LA, or it might be like living in a tiny home in the middle of nowhere with some dogs and cows. I don't know. Like, you know, it could be
Yeah.
whatever it is to you. It's like, what's your unique, authentic life by design in that sense? And like the same thing with your goals. What does that have it all mean to you? And I think that's such an incredible example to bring to the table. I've loved this conversation. It's been so amazing. Just before we finish up, I want to know like what's something you're working on right now? Like what are new projects that you've got coming up, since you have kind of brought more of this mamahood into your business as well?
Yeah, oh, thank you. It's been such an amazing conversation. I'm so excited to hear how it lands with people.
Yeah.
So what have I got going on? I mean, juggling all the things as always. I have just I've just launched the Mamahood Collective. So I found that I really struggled to find my village when I became a mum, became
Okay.
pregnant, because, you know, I had mum friends, I had business friends, but I didn't really have people who were like me, in that they wanted to be really, really ambitious in their business, but also be very, very present as a mother. So I've created an online community, so a membership, and a mastermind for ambitious mama entrepreneurs. So it helps you to really navigate the dualities and hold it all, being a mother, being a CEO. So yeah, I've got an online membership with like, and it's really set up now that I know what mums need. It's set up to work for mums. So like all our trainings are audio only. So you can plug into a training when you're on a walk, or I've got like night feed meditations or hot mum walk meditation. Like it's all for that season. So yeah, that's kind of my big current project. And then my usual kind of coaching, like one-to-one mentorship and masterminds as well, still continues. So yeah, it's very exciting, but I've kind of made that decision to sort of have the two sides, the more business focused side and then the business and motherhood side, so I can continue to serve more people in a deeper way.
I love that so much. The audio is genius. Okay. I just bought a course recently as well. And I was like, something's wrong here. Where's the video? I was so confused with it. And then I'm like, at first I felt like it was like, this is weird. I'm so used to these videos. But then I went on a walk and I was like, this is genius. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
that it's so smart and incredible for, like you said, moms who are busy. You can be breastfeeding, whatever it is you're doing, baking milk, and then still be listening to the training. So that's amazing. Incredible. And like, are you still really focused? I know you're doing the business mentorship now. Are you still coaching kind of with an events focus, or is it kind of like a mix of all?
It's a mix of all. I have an events industry mastermind. So I have a mastermind
Yeah.
called the Event Boss Mastermind, which is one of my signature programs. And that's for, anyone within the events industry that wants to really like grow their personal brand. So generally, yeah, that's the kind of events thing that I do. I think events will always be such a big part of me. It's what I'm known for a lot. I don't speak about it all the time anymore because it's now like one part of my story.
Yeah.
But a lot of my clients work in the events industry, run events businesses, or they're MDs or founders of agencies, or events businesses all over. So it's definitely a zone of genius for me, and I will never really lose sight of it. I'll still always attend events and run them and speak at them when I can. But yeah, it's now another part of my story.
I love that. We're always evolving as well, right? It's like just part of our
Yeah,
evolution as a person. So I love that so much.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Juliet. It's been such an incredible episode. I can't wait for everyone to listen. And I will, where can people find you as well? What's your Instagram handle?
Thank you.
Yeah.
My Instagram is where I hang out most of the time, and it's at the Juliet Tripp, all one word. So yeah, find me on there, and I generally share content about CEO mindset, how you can use that to unlock your next levels in business, motherhood and business, and just like cute pictures of dogs and baby every so often, and things like that. It's a whole whirlwind, but if you're here for that, then yeah, come and say hi. And yeah, if anyone has any takeaways, I would love it if you could share them, just so we can hear what's landed from this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. And I will leave your Instagram as well in the show notes where people can find you. So thank you so much. And yeah, we'll chat soon.
Thank you.